Welcome to the Historic Evil Women series, where we unravel the dark tales of women whose actions left a lasting scar on history. In today's episode, we dive into the story of Empress Dowager Cixi of China, a woman whose thirst for power and cunning strategies not only reshaped a nation, but also plunged countless lives into chaos and despair. From her rise as a low-ranking consort to becoming the most feared ruler of her time, Cixi's reign was marked by betrayal, bloodshed, and ruthless ambition. Let's uncover the chilling saga of this infamous figure and her controversial rule. The Rise of Cixi. In Peking, at a place called Hunala, a woman born in 1835 to a humble family became known in Western history as the Dowager Empress Cixi. She was the unofficial wife of the celestial Emperor Xianfeng. Among the countless women tasked with serving the emperor, Cixi stood out. She joined the imperial court in 1850 at the young age of 15. Although Emperor Xianfeng had many concubines, the influence and power Cixi gained were unparalleled. From consort to power player. A lover of luxurious clothing, beauty, and power, Cixi stood only 5 feet tall and preferred milk, yogurt, and fruits, rarely consuming wheat-based food. After entering the court, she became one of the fortunate women to win the emperor's favor. There are various accounts of her rise, but the consensus is that Cixi started as a low-ranking servant with no education. With access to the royal library and teachers, she learned to read and write, setting herself apart from others. Soon, she befriended a concubine named Li, who was favored by the emperor and about to become queen. When Li failed to bear a child after 3 years, the rising Cixi caught the emperor's attention. The mother of the Emperor Cixi's fortunes continued to soar. Emperor Xianfeng chose her as his wife, and in April 1856, she gave birth to a son, significantly elevating her status at court and in the emperor's heart. According to Dawn newspaper, Cixi's dominance over the emperor stemmed from the fact that he accepted her son Tongzhi as his own, and this act of acknowledgement secured the boy's place as the heir to the celestial empire. Despite this, there is evidence suggesting Cixi never officially married the emperor. Obsessed with power, Cixi managed to control the emperor, eventually advising him on governance. Burdened by the challenges of ruling, Emperor Xianfeng increasingly relied on her, allowing her to take charge of state affairs. Seizing power. After Xianfeng's death, during this time, social unrest and British and French aggression created turmoil in Western China. As China's celestial empire struggled against these external pressures, the emperor and de facto Empress Cixi decided to withdraw from the public eye. Meanwhile, the emperor's brother Qing engaged with colonial powers to negotiate peace treaties. When the situation improved, Emperor Xianfeng attempted to resume control of the capital with Empress consort Li and Cixi, but passed away the same year. His young son, Tongzhi, around 5 or 6 years old, ascended the throne, and Cixi ruled with immense power and authority in his name. One of her first acts was to execute a powerful courtier, Shushan, who was allegedly conspiring against the new emperor. His property was confiscated, and even those with minor associations were killed mercilessly. During this period, Qing, a key figure in state affairs, frequently clashed with Cixi. She dismissed his suggestions, believing herself all-knowing and above counsel. Accusing Qing of attacking her, she imprisoned him, but later released him and included him in the ministerial council, further demonstrating her authority. Qing ultimately became a loyal subordinate. As an ordinary woman who rose to power, Cixi lived a lavish life as the ruler of the country. Her expenses grew exorbitantly due to her indulgent and decadent lifestyle. Facing an empty treasury, she imposed crushing taxes on China's 400 million citizens. When even this wasn't enough, she sold important government positions to unqualified individuals, making wealth the primary qualification for high office. Betrayal and the tragic downfall of Tongzhi. This ambitious and power-hungry woman continued to manipulate the fate of China and its people for 14 years. During this time, her son and the legitimate emperor, Tongzhi, transitioned from childhood to adolescence. If no preventive measures were taken, he would soon be capable of taking charge of the empire's affairs, which would spell the end of Cixi's reign. Facing this prospect, she devised a cruel plan and turned against her own son. She began leading him toward depravity, abandoning her role as a mother and transforming into a lowly conspirator who valued her son's life not at all. Encouraged by his mother's sinister guidance, the naive Tongzhi resolved to conquer every arena of debauchery. Before long, he became a habitual drunkard, an addict, and a promiscuous man, indulging in the company of young girls and even harboring an interest in homosexuality. All these vices were instilled in him under the malign influence of his mother's decisions. At the age of just 16, he was married. Despite being a collection of flaws, Tongzhi was the center of his wife Alute's love, and through her efforts, some accounts suggest he briefly ascended to power. However, the diseases he had contracted weakened him, like leeches draining his life. Eventually, suffering from severe and fatal illnesses, he passed away on January 13, 1875. The reign of Guangxu and rising rebellion. With her son out of the way, Cixi garnered the support of key ministers and public sympathy, securing the throne for her sister's son, Guangxu. Interestingly, Guangxu was only 3 years old when he was crowned emperor on February 25, 1875. Meanwhile, Alute, whom Cixi despised intensely, mysteriously committed suicide, a death widely suspected to be murder, though no one dared to speak out. The truth behind this incident remained hidden forever. Cixi, unwilling to face any more threats, eliminated anyone who posed a challenge. Observing that the 3-year-old emperor feared her but adored Empress Li, who was still alive, Cixi orchestrated Li's demise as well. Despite the fact that it was through Li's help she had gained access to Emperor Xianfeng's bedchamber. Time marched on, satisfying the Empress Dowager's addiction to power. Eventually, the year 1898 arrived, bringing challenges for Cixi. Guangxu, now grown, decided to transfer full authority and exclude Cixi from court, aiming to assert his rightful role as emperor. The ministerial council also supported him in implementing his directives. Guangxu initiated historic and revolutionary reforms, pushing China toward Western sciences, technology, and modernization, inevitable demands of the approaching 20th century. However, his 100 Days reform angered China's conservative elite and lower bureaucratic circles, who supported the archaic and decayed system that had persisted for centuries. This situation created enormous difficulties for Guangxu, which the self-serving Cixi, indifferent to the welfare of the nation and its people, exploited. Once again, she rallied the support of the administration and influential figures who feared change, re-emerging as the dominant power. However, this time she had to react to Guangxu's decisions and actions. Consequently, China became a killing ground for foreigners, especially Christians. Before this, countless lives had been lost in multiple battles with Britain and France, yet the Empress Dowager, oblivious to international dynamics and focused solely on retaining power, continued to rule recklessly over a sea of corpses. Cixi's decision to unleash terror on foreigners was so oppressive it defied comparison. Driven by arrogance, she sought to teach Britain and France a lesson, but ended up igniting chaos within her own country. Rebellions erupted everywhere, ushering in a period of terror and oppression. Every citizen was anxious and distressed, while the Western world was aghast. Nevertheless, Cixi ordered that the war be waged vigorously, decreeing that no Christian, including converts, should be spared. This command applied not only to loyal subjects of the empire, but also to every common citizen. Announcements were made everywhere that anyone who brought the head of a foreigner or a Christian would receive a gold coin as a reward. The Boxer Rebellion, Massacre of Christians. Then sparks began to flash, smoke rose, and flames leapt high. Human screams echoed through the air alongside the blazing inferno. This horrifying and blood-soaked campaign is remembered in history as the Boxer Rebellion. In her relentless and uncompromising strategy during wars, Cixi, who had caused the deaths of millions, once again turned her fury on foreigners after eliminating her own relatives. Her sole aim was to reign over China as she pleased, doing whatever she wanted without facing any opposition or resistance. Only this way could her luxurious lifestyle and insatiable thirst for power and cruelty be sustained. Cixi's final years and legacy. During the Boxer Rebellion, extreme destruction and devastation took place, countless precious lives were lost, and the terrifying moments of terror and chaos became a grim chapter in the tale of human degradation, decline, and savagery. And then, like the proverbial cat that decides to go on a pilgrimage after devouring hundreds of mice, Cixi made a reluctant decision to align China with the modern age. Following the Boxer Rebellion, she began to support several reforms that she had previously rejected out of enmity towards Guangxu. She even promised to establish a constitutional government in the country by 1916. However, before she could fulfill this promise, she passed away in 1908. Cixi remains one of the few women in human history who entered the emperor's court solely as a consort, initially serving to fulfill physical needs, and ultimately emerging as a ruler, embodying one of the most ruthless aspects of womanhood in history. Cixi's story serves as a haunting reminder of the lengths some will go to secure power, leaving behind a legacy steeped in intrigue and destruction. Her name remains etched in history as a symbol of unbridled ambition and unparalleled ruthlessness. If you found this episode intriguing, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with history enthusiasts, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more episodes from the Historic Evil Women series.